Hello and welcome back to the Novelist. Today we are going to be playing Chapter 3, which is apparently called Catching Up. So without further ado, let us begin. Tommy continued to struggle, I guess, with his reading. So he's still having a little bit of trouble with his learning, maybe? I don't know, let's see. There is a note here.
Barb, sorry it's been so long since I've written. Things have been hectic around here, and I'm trying to figure out a way to get things back on track. I don't really want to get into it, but we're getting pulled in a lot of different directions right now. Nothing hurtful, just competing priorities, I guess. Although those can get worse and worse over time. I mean, Dan and I, before we got up here, we'd started to drift. Look at that. I said I didn't want to get into it, and I did anyway. Enough about me. Please tell me you're doing well, and I hope this doesn't stress you out too much. I promise to write a happier letter soon. Yours always, Linda.
With a letter, couldn't you just, rewrite it? Just a suggestion, Linda. Mr. and Mrs. Kaplan, I want to stress that it is perfectly normal for some children to fall behind in a specific area. Tommy may be struggling with reading and comprehension, but his verbal and visual abilities are excellent. That said, he won't catch up on his own. He will need support from both of you. I recommend that you do the attached exercise with Tommy every weekday morning for 1 to 2 hours. He'll be unable to focus exclusively on these for 2 straight hours, so you'll need to take intermittent breaks, but use your judgment and stay with it as long as you feel he can stay engaged. I suggest you do your sessions in the morning before he tires himself out and becomes distracted. I feel confident that with a supportive environment and dedicated exercise, he will catch up to the other children in his class. Please be in touch if you have any questions. Dr. Donald Samuels. So, maybe he has like a learning coach or something to that effect. I don't know. Any more notes? Anything in here? That bottle of rum or whiskey's moved, but it's nothing new. Bullies Tommy. The sounds work in my head. Oh, okay. I see. So he's talking about his learning. So apparently he hears it right in his head, he just can't speak the sound correctly?
The ad ran today. Picked up the latest issue in town. I don't know if it'll amount to anything sales-wise, but that's not the point. I'd forgotten how scary it was to put your work out there and promise something to people, and that brought it all into focus. It's so different thinking about the book as something I eventually have to sell people, not just something I'm working on for myself. But now it's out there. It's terrifying and irreversible. People know about the book, and to them it's exactly what they want it to be. Some finished, beautiful thing. If only they could see it right now. A bunch of jigsaw pieces on the floor. And I've got to put them all together.
Okay. That's clue number 1. Ah, there's another one. I want to get closer before I uncover the memory.
Whoa.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have snapped. I just...
Oh, he's having a rough time, I guess. Okay, no more sound, so I guess that's it. Well, that escalated quickly.
Hi, Dad.
Hey, buddy.
Well, just say, hey, buddy, do something with him. Not right now, anyway. Ah, there's Tommy. Another picture, it looks like. It's the same one of him and his dad. So things aren't really getting better between him and his dad. I guess we should give him the full compromise next.
Honey, listen to me. You are smart.
Will it make me smarter?
I do every single one of those backwards. I don't think it's possible to do them right. Okay.
Looking good, man.
Thanks, Dad.
No, I don't
Hmm.
want to see what he's drawing. Okay, well, nothing apparently.
Maybe.
See what Linda's memories say.
We barely talked yesterday.
Wow, you're right. I guess we've just been so busy.
Yeah, but is it us or is it you? Where's she at? She must be upstairs. I say us, I'm not Linda.
Stared at a blank canvas again today. Got a few strokes in, but I don't like any of them, and I'll probably paint over them tomorrow. It's so frustrating going into that room every day and trying to keep working. It's easy to get out of the house for errands or go for a hike, but none of that helps the work as much as being around other artists. I'm not going to give up. Maybe I can use this feeling in my new piece. Definitely. I'll try that out tomorrow.
Very positive outlook. Of course, her husband's an he's a different kind of artist, but he's an artist too. Ideas. Weekly outing where Tuesday movie night, check channel guide, or maybe going to town. Family dinner, too old-fashioned. Picnic, farmer's market. Family dinner is never too old-fashioned. Family dinners are great.
Dan and I had a good conversation today. Well, we'll have to wait and see if it was actually good, but I feel like I got my point across about family time. We've been getting a little frayed on the little things lately, and it reminded me of something Anne said one time. Love is a behavior, not an emotion. If something's important to you, you show it with your actions. We weren't doing so well with that before we got here. I told Dan my idea. I want us all to eat together at 7 every night, with family time after that. Tommy's wiped out by 8:30, so we'd get a solid hour and a half as a family, and then Dan and I could have the rest of the night to ourselves. And I think 7's a reasonable request. The rest of the working world knocks off at 5, right? It doesn't really matter what we do with the time, just that we spend it together. It's easy to make excuses when you've got a lot going on, which is why patterns help. I hope he feels the same way.
Okay. Interesting. Family should have dinner on the table every night. So if I select the table, that will be Linda's compromise. Yeah, that's the table. Okay. We need to go find out. Ooh, is this another Tommy thing? Tommy's getting picked on. Well, Tommy may just think he's getting picked on. He doesn't like school. He's not too happy with it. Interesting. Where's Tommy? Man said to do the Lonnie book every morning. Okay, so he wants to focus on school. I can get behind that. I think Tommy might get the compromise this time. I can kind of agree with the compromise. Wait, what was it? Books of the summer, Adam Squire's the interview. Okay, no, same thing.
Alan, this letter might come from out of the blue, but do you remember when you told me about Bobby falling behind on reading? Looks like we're there with Tommy. We knew he was struggling when we came up here, but his teacher gave us a list of books for him to work on over the break and said we should see how he responded to the change in environment. She gave us a few sample readings and told us to keep an eye on how he was grasping the concepts. Tommy still isn't there, and long story short, the pediatrician in town knows a specialist who gave us some exercises to try. They seem pretty straightforward, but I wanted to write and see if you had any tips that helped you guys with Bobby. Damn. Just realized I didn't even ask how you've been. I'm sorry. This stuff is just a lot to think about. Dan.
Rude? Not really. Perfect schedule, aka the single unattached writer's guide. 10 to 2 write, 2 to 3 eat and step away. 3 to 7 write, 7 to 8 eat, 8 to 10 decompress, edit, life. Wrenches, Tommy till 11, knock off at 7. Interesting. New rule, don't disturb me if the door to my office is closed. So he wants more writing time. Ooh, look, there's another journal. Okay.
Time. Guess it'd all be easier if I didn't ever have to sleep. Last night after Linda went to bed, I spent some time, there's that word again, trying to make everything fit. I even drew up a little chart. The math is simple. It doesn't work. Technically, I could still get in 8 hours, assuming I don't eat or need to do anything that's not writing. But what about letters, reading, dealing with Paul? Hell, what about doing the dishes or taking out the trash? Not to mention that knocking off for the day isn't like flipping off a switch. It takes time to crawl out of my head and start functioning like a normal person again. And I can't just split it up into smaller chunks. Sometimes it takes an hour of false starts just to get going on anything usable, and stopping just sends the whole process right back to square one. Something's got to give.
Hashtag writer problems. Okay, so we're all having a little bit of issues. Oh, this is Tommy's. Okay, so I think we know what everybody wants. Let me check tab. Yeah. So I'm thinking, we give Tommy what he wants. I like that. So let's do Tommy's resolution, because so far he's just been the middleman. So we'll give him a straight up answer. And I guess we'll decide Linda or Dan depending on how I'm feeling at the time of whispering, I guess. So let's check out, looks like we have another note here. Desk of Harold Baxter, January 22nd, 1948. A final entry before I depart. The bank would no doubt prevent me from purchasing the house due to the inherent conflict of interest, but given its history of frequent ownership changes, I feel confident the mortgage department will be glad to have the property off their hands. I believe I can set up a trust or perhaps a shell company and convince Mr. Lowry that we must part with the property for less than market value. I feel certain I can appeal to his conservative nature. I believe it will prove to be a shrewd investment as a rental property, and I think I now understand why people do not stay for extended periods. I find myself unable to describe the feeling precisely, but in my time here I have found my mind drifting in strange ways, as if it's not always my own. But the natural beauty is undeniable. Perhaps shorter visits or a wiser use of the property. Yes, I believe that is a fine idea indeed. Interesting. So I wonder if I like having people around all the time, or if I try to push people out by, you know, invading their thoughts. That's very interesting. Okay. No more notebooks. There should be at least one more. There's usually two. At least there have been thus far. Maybe the bedroom. No, it's the book. Okay. Well, I guess I'll look around a little more, see if there's any more notes about the house. But I guess the big question is, do we go for Dad or Mom in this situation? I mean, Dad needs to write his book, but Mom, I don't know, she seems to be struggling. Let's see. I mean, both of them, they're pretty much equal standing if we look at our little, you know, chart of who we've pleased and who we've ignored. I think that we need the family to pull together, so I'm going to choose Linda. I seriously think that we can kind of bounce back between family and Dan throughout, and I think it'll come out good because I think that the family is important. So we need to keep them together first and foremost. But Dan's book's important too. Dan didn't want Tommy to start another school year behind, so he committed to helping the little man for 2 hours every morning. Having both of his parents there helped Tommy's confidence as much as his reading, and their morning practices became an event they all looked forward to. Family time. So that actually kind of helped everybody anyway. Dan couldn't find time to knock off completely at 7 every night, but he agreed to have dinner at the table each night before heading back to work. Linda and Tommy missed him after dinner with the sound of his typewriter, the only sign he was even in the house. But they were glad for the time that they did get at the table. Doing dishes, like he said in his letter. Dan couldn't figure out a way to please everyone and still make room for the time and focus he needed to write. He was able to compromise and fit in one unbroken session each day, but for the rest of the day he worked around his family commitments and tried to make the most of the shorter sessions. The lack of focus came through in his work. The book's suffering again. I just hope that the next, big decision for Dan isn't, another chapter. Okay, and that's how the Kaplans' first month at the house on the cliff came to an end. So they've been here for a month. So I guess that means we're a third of the way through the game. So that makes each chapter a third of the month. Dan sent what he had so far to Paul. It went badly. Dan knew the work wasn't very good, and Paul echoed that judgment. He promised to keep the news from Grovefield for the time being, but told Dan that without major improvement in quality, the book might not be publishable. So we're really going to have to try to focus on this book. The next day, Dan made good on a promise to take Tommy into the woods and look for arrowheads, so they drove off to the site of a Swiss law settlement, got to work. Dan and Tommy had fun digging around in the dirt, getting messy, and looking for artifacts. They found a handful of arrowheads, which Tommy proudly showed his mother when they got home, as any kid his age should be proud of. A few nights later, Dan and Linda got a babysitter and drove into town for a date. They spent more than they should have on a bottle of wine and had such a good time that they didn't notice everyone else leaving. When they finally realized they were the last ones in the restaurant, they apologized and left after giving their waitress a generous tip. So their marriage is working, Tommy's happy, but the book is suffering. They still had 2 more months on the coast, and their story was just beginning. So is this... Am I typing these little notes? I don't know. That's very interesting. And I guess that is the end of chapter 3.